Coming up today on the show, we're diving into Apple's big accessibility updates for 2025 and the inbox.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Sean Priest.
We did not wee together there, Sean Priest.
Yes, why did you leave me high and dry, Stephen Scott? I was weeing aplenty there.
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. That's the important thing. At our age, it's important to enjoy yourself in any way you can. Yeah, just in case you know who's listening.
God bless you, Mr. F. We're diving into the inbox today.
We are going to dive in, yes. We indeed.
Thank you.
We're going to be having lots of fun with that. But ahead of that, I want to talk about, well, the only thing we can really talk about today, because as we're recording this, the Apple event, if in your world it might be happening, it may be up next, it may be 6 months ago, who knows, whenever you're listening to this. But as we're recording this, the Apple event has not happened yet. So we're not going to talk about it. We're going to get into all of that tomorrow. Special guests are joining us. Shelley Brisbane, the author of the iOS Access for All books. Can't believe she's doing this again for us. It's brilliant. Michael Babcock, great friend of the show, long-time contributor. Do you know he was the first person to ever send in a voice note to this program? In fact, the first message we ever got to the show as Double Tap
was from Mickey B.
Was from Michael Babcock. Did you know that?
Did we? No, I did not know that. Did we send him a medal or some sort of gift?
Maybe we'll wait to the season 10 when we can think of a good thing for that.
No, they're always great. Shelley and Mickey B, obviously. Fantastic. I love getting them on.
And we're going to do more because we're going to be talking more about Apple and their events. We've got loads of people who are very keen to chime in on the Apple event news as it comes out. So we'll be talking more about it. I feel that the Double Tap Extra podcast this week may be full to bursting with Apple
absolutely.
Talk. Remember Apple Talk was a thing? Do you remember that back in the day? It was the modem, or it was some communication method. You used Apple Talk. You remember
Dream
that,
you had? Apple
Talk?
Talk?
What are you talking about? You don't remember Apple Talk?
No, not
You're
at all.
old enough to remember that.
I remember the Apple Writer. Was that a printer?
No. This was like a modem thing. It was like a handshake
You're
type
thinking of the airport. That's what you're thinking of.
No, I'm thinking of Apple Talk
Airport.
way before all that. I'm talking 56k modems here.
No, that's before my times, Grandad. Sorry.
It was the old handshaking that went on between, whatever and the computer.
That one.
Apple
Yeah,
Talk.
I know. I remember. Yes, I had a US Robotics Sportster.
Yes.
56K.
Sportster. They painted some lines on it.
Go faster stripes on the side. Those were the days. Wait, are we going to see that in today's?
Yeah, they're going to announce a 56k modem inside every MacBook. I can absolutely.
Well, you never know. Okay, we'll wait and see. Who knows?
Well, look,
we're not going to talk about rumors.
No, we're not going to talk about rumors. We've done enough of that. We are going to talk though about Apple accessibility updates for 2025. Now, we were very lucky to get advanced knowledge even before the developers at WWDC, which is kind of becoming the thing, right? Apple announce at Global Accessibility Awareness Day all of the big updates that are coming. And that's wonderful. So good for us because we get ahead of the game. I love it.
Well, yeah.
Well, what now? What are you complaining? How can you complain about that?
No, it's great. Fantastic. So they come out and they tell us all the new accessibility features that are coming up in various OSs. Fantastic. But it's so in advance that by the time the OS actually comes out, I've forgotten.
Yes.
I can't remember.
That's so true. It's funny, actually. It's the same when I think about WWDC, it's the same. It comes time to update and you think, okay, what is new in this thing? I can't even remember anymore.
Exactly.
You need to go back and watch the event.
Yeah.
Well, here on the show today, we're going to replay you a conversation. We don't do replays very often of our interviews, but this one I think is pretty special, and it does help us a lot, actually, understand what is coming out in Apple accessibility this year. There is plenty to talk about, and around Global Accessibility Awareness Day itself, I got the chance to catch up with Sarah Herlinger from Apple to tell us what was coming.
Of course, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here. I love talking to you.
I've got to talk to you about Vision Pro because I was kind of blown away, if I'm honest, by the announcements about what's coming to Vision Pro. Some really cool features and, real headliners, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's a great year for us for Vision Pro and really across the board. But When we first built Vision Pro, it was incredibly important to us that accessibility was there from the start. So there's so many features that we built in round one. But one of them that we are super excited to build on is Zoom. As you know, right now, Zoom already works on Vision Pro for digital elements. So zooming in on things that are on, digital elements on the device itself. But we just announced a powerful update where you'll now be able to zoom in on your surroundings as well as on digital elements. So being able to use the main camera to zoom onto things in the world. And like in iOS, you can use this in either Windows Zoom or full screen zoom mode.
Yeah, and as well as that, and of course, that is a major feature, I've got to say, which, having a little trial in the Apple Store with Vision Pro, it was one of the first things I thought, God, this would be great if I could have that functionality. Clearly, someone was listening, because there it is. But you go beyond that on Vision Pro because, object identification, item recognition, all of that kind of stuff is coming as well, right?
Yeah, we're bringing live recognition to Vision OS as well. So like iOS, being able to use machine learning to describe things in your surroundings, including things like people detection, furniture detection, and text detection. So being able to, go through your mail using the device, things like that, where things out in the real world, again, that you're going to be able to use that detection mode for.
I think there was a lot of us who kind of felt at the beginning would it be so cool if, apps like Be My Eyes could get access to those cameras, so that, we could have that person-to-person interaction as Be My Eyes offers, as others do too. And it would be really cool if that was available through Vision Pro. Again, this is something else you've announced.
Yeah, so what we announced is that we're opening up a new API that's specifically for accessibility developers. So there will be a process of requesting access and then being approved that you are an accessibility developer and using it in the right ways. But the idea behind it is to get access to that main camera for person-to-person assistance. So again, giving users more ways to understand their surroundings hands-free.
Privacy is always at the heart of Apple, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I want to pick up on Braille Access. And I want you to explain this to me a little bit, Sarah, if you don't mind, because I was listening in and reading all the information and I'm trying to get my head around what is Braille Access? Is it an app? Because essentially it's bringing a note taker, essentially a Braille note-taking type device into the iPhone or into the ecosystem of Apple devices.
Yeah, so Braille Access is a powerful new experience. It does require a connected Braille display, but it's a standard refreshable Braille display. You'll be able to interact with your Apple device, whether that's iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple Vision Pro with Braille Access. And using it, you can easily take notes in Braille format in any Braille code, perform calculations using Nemeth Braille, which is, for those who don't know, a Braille code that's often used in classrooms for math and science. You're now going to be able to open Braille-ready format BRF files directly from Braille Access. So this will unlock a wide range of books and files that were previously created on a Braille note-taking device. And you can even use an integrated form of live captions, which is a feature that we developed to support the deaf community to be able to caption, or to transcribe real conversations. And now being able to display these captions directly on a Braille display. So for users who are deaf-blind, again, giving them more flexibility, more access, more ways to be able to use our devices in ways that work for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see Braille get such a major focus of attention here, especially in the year, although some argue it, but I still maintain this is the year of 200 years of Braille. At least that's as far as the Double Tap series is concerned.
200 years of Braille, 40 years of accessibility at Apple. It's also the 20th anniversary of VoiceOver, so there's a lot to celebrate this year.
I want to talk to you about accessibility labels, which is something that's going to be new in the App Store. It sounds great because this gives an opportunity for developers to really highlight and showcase the work they've done to make their apps accessible in a number of different ways, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about this. I think it's a big step forward for accessibility. As you well know, we do a lot to try and ensure that our apps are accessible and work for users. And I think, we've always believed it's important to expand that to the ecosystem and to be leaders, but to help others, to be the ripple in the pond. And so this is really an opportunity for developers to be able to better inform and educate customers on the accessibility of their apps and give users more understanding up front of whether an app is going to be able to work for them. So we're adding in a number of new labels. They include VoiceOver and voice control, which are both essential tools for many users to interact with their devices. A lot of other features such as larger text, sufficient contrast, dark interface, differentiate without color alone, reduced motion. I think I got them all there. And then for media accessibility as well, being able to give a label for captions or audio descriptions if you have media embedded in your apps. And so it's just really an opportunity for developers to tell people if they're supporting any of those 9 criteria.
Yeah, and that's something you already led the way on inside the Apple TV app, right? Because, all the Apple TV Plus content, has a description and captioning and everything built in already, which is wonderful. But in the iTunes store, for example, if you were going to buy a movie or a TV show, you would know if the movie or TV show had that because those labels are in there, and it's expanding on that, which is wonderful. The question I have, though, is how does a developer know if the app meets the guidelines?
We'll be providing our developers with robust criteria for what it means to support or not. And as they are looking at not just that criteria, we'll also be connecting them to a lot of resources. For years we've been building APIs to support all 9 of these criteria. So there are APIs that they can use to, start that process. As well, for years at our Worldwide Developer Conference, we've been delivering sessions. So there are videos for developers to watch. There's sample code. There's documentation. There's all kinds of things that help them in that process of understanding, for example, what does it mean to code for VoiceOver and make that a part, to how do you label buttons, things like that. So we're going to be providing all of that to developers with, again, more sessions at WWDC and helping kind of hold their hands in this process and help them to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, we speak to a lot of developers who say, the one thing about Apple, you can say a lot of things about Apple, but one thing you can say for sure is that there is documentation, there are resources, there's plenty of information out there in order to know how to make the app accessible. The question is, though, what happens if an app has a rating? Let's say it says it's VoiceOver compliant and it turns out it isn't. You're getting all this feedback from people saying it says it is, but it's not. Do you step in at that point?
Well, the first step with that is if a user finds that an app has an incorrect label, they can provide feedback to the developer directly. So they can go to the link on their App Store page and send a note to the developer to let them know where there is a problem. Same as for us, we have the accessibility@apple.com email address. And if people write to us, we file bugs, we get those directly to our engineers. They could also rate and review the app from the App Store product page and say, this was my experience as somebody in each of the communities or with each need to say this wasn't quite what I hoped for. And then Apple may also step in and investigate and take actions on apps that are providing intentionally misleading or harmful information.
That's good to know. But you're right. The community can help itself as well, right, through those reviews. I've had experiences of this before. People don't want to write bad reviews, but you know what? If it ain't working, you got to say something, right?
Developers really do want to know where there are problems. With things like privacy labels and things like that we've had in the past, there are things that people give them feedback, and I know developers appreciate understanding where they can do better.
I want to ask you about Magnifier for Mac, because this is so cool. I've been looking for scanning solutions on my computer for a long time, and there are many expensive pieces of software out there. And then Magnifier for Mac comes along. I'm thinking about it from a blindness perspective, but I know from a low vision perspective, this is huge. Tell us more.
Yeah. So as many people may know, Magnifier has been available on iOS since 2016 as an app to, again, support the real world and being able to magnify content out in the world around you. But with this, and I think this is the way we try and look at all of our features, whether it be on a Vision Pro or a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, developing a solution that uniquely leverages the power of that device. And so as we looked at this and the Mac, we wanted to be able to create a solution that really made the most of the Mac's canvas and also takes advantage of the fact that you can organize and store material much more readily than, for example, on an iPhone. So we created a solution that's really simple and low setup. The idea is that you take the iPhone camera or an attached camera as your means of being able to, see something out in the world. So you attach an iPhone to the Mac, fire up Magnifier, and then you're able to use the image that's coming in from that iPhone or other attached camera. And as it shows up on the screen, you can do things like snap it into perspective. So if you're a student in a classroom and you have to sit at the back of a lecture hall, you're not directly on. You can still choose the area that you want to have in the image, and then have it line that up to give you a better perspective. You can zoom in on it. You can customize the format. So if you want to use a different filter or something like that, you can customize that format into what works best for you. Once you have it set up the way you want it, you can then, again, snap a picture of it so you can keep those as slides and file them. So, for example, if you're in a class and you want to always keep track of all of your the images you took from your science class or your English class, you can gather those together and keep them over time. So really valuable for somebody in an education environment. And it also works with a brand new feature that we've launched called Accessibility Reader. And to give a little bit of information about that one, Accessibility Reader is a new system-wide reading mode. And it's designed for users with a wide range of disabilities, such as things like dyslexia or low vision. And it gives users a new way to customize text and focus on content that they want to read, again, with extensive options for fonts, colors, spacing, as well as support for spoken content, so you can have things read out to you as well. And the cool thing about Accessibility Reader, which is a little different than a feature we've had for a while that's called Safari Reader, is that Accessibility Reader can be launched from any app, including from this new Magnifier app. And it's actually built into Magnifier in iOS, iPadOS, macOS, so it's not just something for macOS. But in this way, you can interact with, text that's digital or in the real world and have it delivered to you in a format that works best for you.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And I've got to ask you on the audio side of that, I'm guessing a range of voices available to choose from to listen to that content as well?
Yeah, I mean, much like with our other, vocal elements, it's the voices that we have built into the operating system are available to you.
Sarah, it's always wonderful to talk to you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on to Double Tap.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Always good to talk to Sarah Herlinger, chatting to her earlier in the year about Apple's big accessibility announcements. Lots of people were excited after that. Lots of features in there. I'm guessing now, Sean, a lot of that is coming back to you, right? It's like learning Braille 20 years ago. It's all coming back to me now.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And talking of Braille, the Braille Access, there was a lot of excitement about that, and we know some more details about how it's actually going to run. And Sarah did a great job there of explaining. I think the Braille live transcribe feature, that really impresses me. The ability to, in real time, get a Braille transcription of what's being said. I mean, it seems so simple and so obvious, yet I don't know if I've seen that anywhere else. It's just really cool. That would make a huge difference, as she said, to blind deaf people.
They really always go the step further, I think, in some ways. And I know a lot of people will say, well, other companies do as well, and that's true. But I think they beat past the surface of a lot of this accessibility sometimes. Oftentimes you hear about a feature and you think that's great. It's an interesting thing. When you talk about accessibility, there are some people who've said to me in the past, wouldn't it be better just to get rid of the word accessibility entirely and just talk about it as personalization? The way you use your device, it's just personal to you, whether it be Braille or be it this or be it that. And I must admit, about maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would have absolutely made that argument. In fact, I think
it makes sense.
At one point I did. make that argument. But I've changed my view on that. And the reason being is I think it's really important that we do have a bit of a standout here, because there are features that exist. I think about things like switch control. I think about Braille. I think about, pointer control, those kind of those specific features, which aren't customizations or personalizations. They are necessary for the person to be able to use the device. So it's not about choice. It's about access. There's a difference there. And I think this is what Apple have kind of tapped into. And look, they're not alone. Google do the same. And of course, they're all trying to, and Microsoft and other companies, and we're seeing a lot of it from Amazon recently, a lot of new features coming in, especially around hearing, which is great. But they really need to dig into these features further. There's a lot of depth to these features and functions. Like Braille, for example, on its own requires such an amount of knowledge and expertise to get it right. You can't half-bake this stuff. And we've seen where companies have half-baked it and it hasn't worked. I think about hit support on Google. The amount of times I've heard people complain about that, that's because it's not been, I don't think, thought all the way through. Not by the accessibility team, I have to say. Not by those teams. I imagine they are banging their heads against any brick wall they can find.
Well, that's the reason it took so long, because the problem was in the kernel of the OS. I mean, it wasn't an easy fix. It was one of those things where it wasn't thought about from the beginning.
It's not about, for me, it's not about breaking down the word accessibility and making it therefore just part of the everyday, the personalization approach that some might say. But it is about embedding accessibility in and of itself into everything. And you wouldn't end up with a situation like that, because if it's built in at the root, if someone stops, no matter where they are in the business, and says, what about accessibility? Have we crossed this off? Have we considered this? If you had that kind of approach, and I think Apple does to some degree, I'm not saying they don't release things without problems. There have been issues in the past. We know there have been issues in the past, plenty of bugs that pop up. But I would say on the whole, they're better at releasing products and software without showstoppers.
Yes.
Than other companies where it's like, I can't use this, or this is no good, or this brand new feature they've dropped on a website has an unlabeled button. I don't see as much of that from Apple, right? It's funny with Apple. I have such a love-hate relationship with Apple, the hate part is more that I hate myself so much because I enjoy using it so much. I want to use Windows. I want to use Android. I want to use all these great things. And they're amazing tools, but I get dragged back in every time. I hear all these great features. The accessibility reader, I can't wait to play with that. The Magnifier, I'm kind of almost seeing it as a potential scanning solution for me. I don't know how realistic that is. I can't wait to try and find out.
Do you know what when she was explaining that, I was thinking, if I had had that when I was back in my school days, it would have saved me all those trips up to the front to pretend to sharpen my pencil so I could quickly read the blackboard, or whiteboard as it's known now, to read it, because I couldn't see it from the back of the class or even the front of the class as I was. This absolutely is fantastic for its students and things like that. I think, the perspective correction is something, it just blows my mind. Again, it's just that little step further. If you're not dead center on with your, classroom display, whatever it may be, and you're off to the side, well, it doesn't matter, because the camera can digitally correct that and look like it's flat in front of you. I mean, amazing, right? Low vision, you're going to love this. I
mean, that's true independence. And it's about normalization. I know people hate the word normal, but, as a student or as a kid at school, you want to be in with the normal, it's not even the normal crowd, but just, you want to feel normal. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to stand out, exactly. And, that was something which we all, I'm sure you were the same as me, right? I went through mainstream education, primary and secondary. And on both occasions, everything had a kind of stop moment to check if Stephen needed this, or, I can't see that, or this isn't good for me, or...
I was just pretending the whole way through and failing at it. That's what it came down to.
That's another story entirely, which, we've talked about this, the challenges you face at school, because you maybe don't want to put your head above the parapet too much. Yeah, I was the only kid. I mean, it's funny, right? Because it was a strange thing for me. It was the opposite way around for me at school. I had access to a lot of technology. It wasn't the most accessible technology in the world, but I had access to a lot of it, including an Apple PowerBook back in the day, and that was what I used at school. I was the only kid in the school who had one of these. Now, how I walked out of that school alive.
School in the world.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it amazed me that, I got out of that school alive most days without being mugged or this thing being taken off me. It didn't happen, right? Which was interesting. But, it was fascinating to me because it really made me stand out. That's not the case anymore. Everyone's got their laptops. Everyone's got their technology. And if I can use that technology to access information without having to put my hand up and say, excuse me, I need to bring up my blindness again, I think that's an amazing thing. That's going to do so much for the kids of today and the kids of the future using this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Everyone uses a laptop in the classroom now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an unusual thing. So again, you're not going to stand out, right? So very, very cool.
Anything else in there that took your fancy?
Well, I'd say what I'm interested in is the accessibility labels. I'm really interested to see if they have the impact that we're expecting. Because the theory behind it is fantastic, right? It's what we've always wanted. It's what I'm always asking for. And you mentioned it in the interview about streaming media. How often are we, well, is this audio described? Have I got to search through, go into that and then search through? Can I sort my content by what's accessible? Well, these accessibility labels for apps could be incredibly useful for us if the app do, as Sarah said, if they adhere to those guidelines. It could make a big difference, but also I'm slightly wary of it just being something they tick in a tick box in a list and move on. Yeah, we do that, but do they actually know it does that? We'll have to wait and see. It's
that's
early
the bit
days
that worries me, if I'm honest, because what I didn't hear from Sarah was any sense that they would go after app developers for not standing by those labels.
Yeah.
She didn't go that far. She said, well, you can obviously get in touch with the developer. You can let them know. You can feedback through review.
She did say Apple would step in at some point if needed, right? It's I don't know.
Yeah, let's see what happens with that. I mean, look, I feel Apple should. I think they would step in on other things.
From a logistical point of view, right? If we get an app and it says, yes, I'm VoiceOver friendly, accessible, whatever it's going to say, right? And there's one unlabeled button in there. At what point do we say, right, that doesn't meet the guidelines? At that point?
Well, yeah. Well, that's an interesting question.
Something is totally, all the elements are labeled correctly, but the usability is terrible. What about then? It's very tricky. But,
well, it could go another way as well. There could be another side to this, which is that we begin to learn how many apps in there are not accessible.
Yeah.
We may not, we won't
true.
see that data. I am almost certain of it, unless someone wants to sit and scrape through the entire app store and count how many.
Right.
Yeah, someone might. Maybe AI can do that.
Our new friend to write a shortcut that would go through the
Apple
App Store.
Intelligence to do it.
Searching through anything that's labeled as VoiceOver or whatever accessibility feature you want and count it up and see.
I also think, if I'm honest, this year is going to be a big year for Apple Intelligence. And I don't mean in the sense of the blowaway that we're kind of expecting or maybe looking for. But I think that the tools within Apple Intelligence, making it available to more people to do more things with. I mean, just touching on the whole shortcuts thing the other day I was talking about, that alone kind of blew me away, the capability of that. And I'm thinking, God, where is this going to go? So much potential here. So, yeah, and it's going to be all be realized when this is announced. Now, look, I don't know. I mean, iOS 26 is probably going to come out within, a week or two of the Apple announcements, whatever they are.
Yeah.
I guess
Official
macOS 26 is going to be about the same, or does it wait? I can never remember if it comes out later in the year or it comes out roughly the same time.
Remember. I'm not a Mac man, Stephen Scott.
Well, you have a Mac, you just don't use it because you're an idiot.
Okay, let's leave that there. It's Apple Day. Let's not start off on a fight.
Fall out. Okay, fine. I like falling out with you. Then we can make up and it's wonderful.
Okay.
Let's move on. Right, okay,
yes.
Hang on a second. Moving on swiftly on that one.
I will be updating, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, look, if you want to get involved with the show, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Now, I can't remember which one it was, but there was, you were mentioning earlier about audio description, and I think it was Paramount Plus. I could be wrong, but I think it was Paramount Plus. There's so many of these streaming services now.
I know, and they keep changing their names as well.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it was Max. Now it's HBO Max. Now I think it's HBO. Now it's who knows. And I think it was Paramount who had announced to the world, with much fanfare on LinkedIn, the world's biggest bragging network.
Can't stop saying that.
I mean, here's another example of it, right? So here they are saying, "Oh, look what we've done. We've built a website where you can find out what shows are audio described." A website to go to tell me what shows are audio described on, if it is Paramount. I'm assuming it was Paramount Plus because I think that's what I read. But let's say it is, right? A website. Now,
what's wrong with that, Stephen
I could
Scott?
be wrong.
I'm sure there's a guy there, a sighted fella in marketing, saying this is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, because there's nothing else you could do. Like, I don't know, maybe make a category in the app itself.
Yeah, just a simple filter. Please only show me audio described
Please,
content.
please, please. Could every streaming service, please, just please, go into the Apple TV app, Apple TV Plus in particular, or go to Netflix and have a look at how they do it. Just have a look at how they do it, right? I'm not saying you have to copy them, but if you could copy them, that would be a lot easier. And I don't think they would mind, because all I'm asking you to do is, in amongst, you've got all your, comedies and dramas and thrillers and horror, and amongst all these categories you have for shows, just have one called audio described. Now, there's a couple of benefits to this, because I know exactly what's going to happen. The same thing happened with the audio description project, I think it was, which brought out the content. I can't remember, was it Netflix? It was an American thing, right? Remember there was an American website that would tell you what shows, I think it was on Prime and stuff. It only applies to that country.
Yep.
So if it's in the app, it'll tell me what's available in my country. Hence why it's a good idea if you keep it on the device and on the categories side of the app, because then I might actually get a chance to find out what's audio described in my country. So that means you can open it up worldwide overnight. All you have to do is add a category. It'll obviously pull in all the stuff with AD in that country and display it. Now, okay, it might be different in per country. I'm absolutely certain it will be, because the libraries are different from Netflix and Prime and all the rest. They're all very different in each country. But it would it would source out all of that AD content and show me what I can watch here, wherever I am, whether it be Canada, whether it be the UK, whether it be the US, New Zealand, Australia, the moon, wherever it is.
Oh, what a beautiful, heavenly idea there, Stephen Scott.
That's the heaven I want.
Thank you. You pointed towards Netflix there. Unfortunately, I disagree.
What?
Where's
Hang
the
on.
da-da-da?
Well, there it is. I was not expecting that to work, I should say. That was not an expectation.
No, I disagree. Have you tried that audio described category in Netflix?
Yes.
What it does is does exactly what you expect it to do. It throws everything in there. So if I want to see comedy movies that are audio described, good luck. Search through everything in this pile. If I want to see comedy TV shows, good luck. Everything's in this pile.
Not anymore.
Ah, okay. All right.
Not
I take
anymore.
it all back. I was also just
that's why I'm saying
say,
Netflix, because actually they do section things out. No, it does. It does highlight. It does highlight the lack of TV and programs out there that have got AD. I'll tell you that. But there, there's like a new on Netflix. Because I like that category, because I'm usually checking what's new, what's coming out, and I just want to know what's available. That's really all I'm interested in. But you're right. I want to know also if there's a movie or a TV show. But you can break it down by heading that way and inside the app.
Are you sure? That never worked before. I've never got that to work. In fact, I just
I'm
give up trying to use that
100%
category.
guaranteed that works.
In that case, Stephen,
Yeah, forget it.
I take it back if that is the case. But I mean, again, it's almost like half thought through. That was difficult to say. When it was first implemented, if it has indeed changed, because it was just a case of, yeah, there you go, we've done that. Well, no, I get it's a step in the right direction, but I've now got to look through 500 different movies or TV shows.
The BBC does that in the UK. They go from A to Z. So you have so there's no category sense at all. And you don't know what I mean, that is another problem. That is definitely another issue. If you know the show you're looking for, that's great. But if you're just wanting to browse, as most people are, I think this is the bit that gets me. It's like they're not even thinking like the way regular users work. How do they think we navigate? I mean, if someone seriously is sitting inside a company, a streaming company, And someone says to them, okay, look, we need to come up with this idea. This idiot from Scotland keeps shouting about wanting a streaming, like a category for all the streaming shows that have got AD. Well, what you do then is forget the knowledge and the learning we've done and how people actually consume this stuff. Just give them a big A to Z list of every show ever made and let them work it out from there. Who thinks that?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, just give us 2 little tick boxes at the top, AD or, signed, subtitled, whatever it may be, and just filter it by that. It's so simple.
I mean, actually,
it seems so simple.
We complain about audio description, but when you look at the lack of signed
TV,
I mean goodness me, that is appallingly bad. I mean, so much so they put press releases out. Some companies actually put press releases out when they have a show that's got. It's like when someone. I often find it's the same. I saw a podcast or something the other day that was promoting the fact that someone who was visually impaired had got a job as a executive of a company or whatever it was, or a charity, and it's so sad that these things end up as headlines. Blind person gets job is basically the headline. You think, is that really where we're at in 2025? We're still so far behind. And you're right, when it comes to the AD stuff, it's ridiculous. But no, look, anyway, I'm not going to rant about this all day because I could rant all day and I always do. But honestly, it frustrates me so much because Paramount, love you, love what you're doing. You're putting a lot of great content out there with AD. I love that. Let's do more of it. Let's champion it, but do it in the app. Don't make a website. God, what is this, 1993?
Just go out there, look through the list of what you want to watch. It's like going to rent a VHS videotape again. Yeah. It's, come on now.
And I can't be bothered.
All right.
I'm starting to realise why so many people listen to audiobooks in the blind world. I really am. At least I can find one.
It's easy.
At least I don't really think, is this thing accessible to me? Yes.
It's accessible.
It's called an audiobook.
You've got to listen for 16 hours, which is,
At 3 times the speed, though. You can get through it 3 times as fast.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. I have to say,
Very
though,
good.
listening to that audiobook I bought the other day, the tapes one, it's so weird listening at regular speed. In fact, someone said this to me the other day. They were listening to us at regular speed, and they said it just felt weird. Because so many people listen to us at triple speed. I don't know how.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah, but especially those people who complain they struggle with my accent. Then you listen to it at 3 times the speed. No wonder you can't understand a word I'm saying.
Only dogs can listen to that at that point, especially when you said speed then. I mean, that was so high-pitched, Stephen. Well done.
Exactly. Right, I've stopped moaning. I've stopped ranting.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
It's nice now to hear from our listeners. Give the listeners a break from us for a minute or two. Well,
bit of sense.
In particular. Yes, let's go to our first listener. Now, this is actually following up on your comments about backing up Windows and moving on to another machine, copying files, all that stuff. Thomas has been in touch.
Hello, this message is for Sean on today's podcast, today being Tuesday, the 12th of August. Sean put out a call out for how to make a system image for his Windows system, presumably Windows 11. My first knee jerk with anything like that is to contact the Microsoft Disability Support Desk, either through Be My Eyes or if you happen to have their number handy, which I do not. But I found them to be quite helpful. And yeah, relative to the tool that's in the settings portion of the thing of Windows, I'm still on Windows 10, and but I routinely do a system backup after every major system update. And there are no more of those with Windows 10. But anyway, and I've used that tool that's labeled as Windows 7, and it's worked for me to at least create the backup. I have never actually needed to use it, but it's worked for me. But Sean said it wasn't working for him. Bye.
Oh, there we go. So Tom has your back. Although I will say, Tom, Microsoft will be round at any given minute, knocking down that door saying, get that machine upgraded, will you? Come on.
Windows 10. It's a beauty. Okay, so what we're talking about here is system backup for Windows 7, as it's called in the control panel of Windows 11. And it can do exactly that. It can make let's call it a clone, right? A system image.
Hang on, it's actually called that?
That's what it's called, yeah, for Windows 7. Yeah, that's why I was a little bit, should I use this? Is this
because I don't have Windows 7 anymore.
Yeah, is this a legacy thing? But apparently it does still work. And if you read any of the guides, how do I back up my Windows for free? It's virtually always there. So apparently you can use it. I had a few difficulties trying to use it, but from what other people have told me, it's usable. It just seems a little bit, it's such an important thing to make a easy to access and restorable backup of your system that I'm using this old tool. It just seems really strange that Microsoft haven't updated this. So, but thank you. Yes, there is another one. I think it's called True Image. Image for Windows is the one I've started to use. Very accessible, very easy.
Okay. Well, Scott wants to chime in.
Yeah, g'day, Stephen and Sean. Scott from Sydney, Australia here again. Just wanted to mention that I listened to your episode today about the backing up Windows and making a system image. Now, there is another package that I know people have used, Image for Windows. I don't know what the restore process is like. From my understanding, from what I've been told by others, it does use its own proprietary format, a bit like the terabyte option that you mentioned, Stephen. The other thing I do, I use that Windows 7 backup and restore feature in Windows 11. It images the entire system, and then all you have to do is boot off a USB drive that has a Windows 11 image on it, bring up Narrator, and you could go to the advanced troubleshooting when that wizard comes up, and then you can restore your backup from the drive that you backed up using that Windows 7 backup and restore utility, and it puts it all back to the way it was when you made the backup. It does take a bit longer for some reason, maybe because it's an old backup tool. But I haven't actually done a restore, but I've gone into the process just to make sure that it still works, and it actually does work really well. As long as you remember to bring up Narrator with Windows Control Enter, after you wait for about 30 seconds to maybe a minute to be sure, then hit the Windows Control Enter and you're good to go. Anyway, I hope that helps. I just wanted to pass this on. The other quick thing I wanted to mention is I really do feel for everybody in the UK with this new sight and sound pricing. It is very expensive from what you guys have mentioned in the show, having to pay the £320 for 3 years, all three sums at once. Why can't they offer a payment plan so you can pay off in installments? I don't know any distributor who does that, but it would be nice if they're going to stick with their 3-year upfront pricing in the UK. Why don't they offer a payment option so you can pay it off in installments, kind of like Afterpay or Klarna or one of those where you can actually pay it off in installments? I guess the problem with that is that if you miss a payment, then they've got to chase people up for payment. And I guess they don't really want that, but it would be an alternative. But I think that they should definitely offer the home manual. We don't get the home manual licensing here in Australia either. We just get the pay for your JAWS home software maintenance agreement. And now, as was mentioned by the Vespero people in your podcast a little while back there, maybe a couple of weeks or so, it's timed over 2 years. I got a friend who just went on to the new timed software maintenance agreement. So he paid his fee and it's timed over 2 years. Sorry, date specific. So it used to be over 2 years. Now it's done by date. So it's the date. It starts from when you purchase the software maintenance agreement it goes from that particular date. For my understanding was 2 years. Anyway, I hope they do find you guys a resolution, because it really isn't fair to slug the United Kingdom. And as everybody knows, the cost of living, incomes are hard to come by. I really do hope that Vespero and Sight and Sound work together to find a solution that is fair for everyone. Don't rip off the United Kingdom. You don't deserve to be taken advantage of like that.
Quite right.
I don't know who thought that a 3-year plan and having to pay up front was a great idea. Maybe it was some board meeting members who had a few too many drinks one night thinking that they would do this.
Booze.
Jokes aside.
Allegedly.
I still think it's completely wrong. Please keep us updated with this issue, and I really do hope that they do find an option for you guys in the UK.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Look, I mean, it is what it is at the moment. We haven't had any updates as yet. We have, though, had a lot of feedback in on this. So we're going to come back on this later in the week, because we have been going through our feedback and lining them up to play in on this particular topic. So,
we'll come back to that, definitely. Can I quickly say thank you, Scott, because I made a mistake before. I said true image for Windows. You were right. It's actually terabyte image for Windows. That's the software I'm using at the minute to make backups. Thank you. Terabyte image for Windows.
Let's go to, funny enough, we're talking about audio description. Here's a message on that topic.
Hi, Stephen and Sean. This is May Thompson again.
Hello, May.
I listened to the dollop about audio description, and I heartily agree. I am sick of the way that they're doing things with Virgin Media as well. I've got the box that I can't remember the name of the remote control. Is it 360, something like that? And you've got voice guidance up to a point, but then you can't get into your recorded messages.
Yeah.
So it only more or less gives you the TV guide. And I sent a message a while ago about the BBC and the iPlayer, where you could listen to audio description, and yet when you downloaded it to listen elsewhere, it didn't have audio description on the download. The whole thing is just terrible. And STV Player is bad as well, because they have a certain amount. After the live programme, you can go into audio describe, and they've got a few programmes. But I don't see why all the programmes can't be on demand. It's just stupid. So I wondered if we could get in touch with RNIB, or would it be a waste of time? Or should we put it on In Touch and get them to get somebody on the programme? But we need to do something. I'd be quite happy to sign a petition, because we really need, instead of moaning, we should really do something about it, because we're paying the same as everyone else, and it's not right. I really enjoy audio description. I think it's really good. Okay, speak to you later. Bye.
Thanks, May. Yeah, whinging, whining, and moaning. I'm good at that. But you're right. Action is required. We can't just sit here and let it happen. I think that the challenge we face, and this is not to suggest we shouldn't fight against it, but we have to realise the challenge here, which is pretty much every single broadcaster on Earth seems to either go some way towards getting it right, and then just either gives up or forgets about it, or it's seen as like a project inside the organization. This is how I think it's often done. I think oftentimes it's like, okay, today is Accessibility Day, so we're going to get all the developers to get everything accessible, and that's great. And then from that point on, never discuss it again.
That's that day over with. Yeah,
and I'm being very nice when I say that, because I think what's probably truthful is that someone goes in and says, hey, we'd love to add this feature, and they say, well, get on with it, but make it quick and easy, and don't make it cost me any money.
Yeah, and don't talk about it to us again.
And never mention it again.
Do you know what, though? How do we? Because she's absolutely right there. You should always say something, but the actual amount of people that do complain, I mean, how do we get up any speed on this to make them sit up and listen? If just one or two of us do it and maybe send a tweet or an X or a toot or whatever the hell else there is, does it actually mean anything? Does it make any impact? Is the answer the sight loss organisations? Is it down to the NFB to stamp their feet and threaten, whatever they need to threaten, or the RNIB in the UK, or CNIB, or whoever it may be? It's got to be someone with numbers. It's the only way they pay attention, hasn't it?
Well, that's if they pay. No, I don't think so. I think the answer is regulation, right? It's the thing that nobody wants to hear anymore.
But again, how do you get them to regulate? How do you get governments to pay attention to regulate?
Well, governments have regulated in the past. I mean, in particular with audio description, the UK is actually leading the way when it comes to the amount of on TV with linear television. But on regular television, broadcast television, the number of audio described shows, I mean, although the limit or the minimum is something like 20%, most broadcasters go way beyond that. Now, that's because of back archives and content archives and all the rest of it, so that suddenly their numbers creep up to like 50, 60%, which is great. But it's the on-demand content we're having the issue here with. But you also have this other issue where the devices themselves we're using to connect to these services are not accessible. So, that set-top box that you're talking about there, May, which I think is from Virgin, which is a cable provider in the UK, I didn't know they were still going. I didn't know that was still a thing, but yeah, apparently it's still a thing. So Virgin are still going. The fact they have accessibility in the box blows me away because I didn't think they had that. Mind you,
they told me they hadn't, by the way. They tried to sell it to me when I was on them for the broadband, my internet provider, and they said, would you like the TV package? I said, is your box accessible? Yes, it is. I said, are you sure? Oh, no, it's not. So, I mean, how can you make a decision off information like that?
Yeah, they're not selling it. I'll be honest. That's not selling it. But you're right, mate. I don't know what we do here. I really don't know where we go with this because, we can all stamp our feet. I can sit here and shout day and night. It doesn't make any difference. The broadcasters aren't listening to me. They're not listening to... I don't think they're listening to the RNIB either. I don't think they're listening to NFB. I don't know. I don't think they're listening to any of us. But I mean, they're listening to somebody because the regulation has come along. So clearly over the years, campaigns have worked. Maybe we need to look back at the successes of those campaigns and see if we can get any
maybe
joy.
Our grandchildren will be more successful than us.
Yeah. I'm not. I didn't say I was holding out hope. I just said that's the reality of it. Okay, let's go to something that will cheer us all up, and that is country music. Paul.
Hello, Stephen. I have a song recommendation for you that I genuinely think you'll really like. It's called Like My Dog and His by Billy Currington. Enjoy, Paul from Ripley.
You can't be a country music song to cheer you up as long as you play it backwards. Because if you play a country song backwards, it has a happy ending.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's
otherwise,
right. He wakes up and it all goes downhill from there.
That's right. Yeah, wake up in the morning, only 4 bottles of alcohol, and it's all gone horribly wrong. Who does that sound like?
Do you mind? Stop it now.
Can't think at all.
I heard Conway Twitty last week. Gotta say, blew my mind. Opened my ears to a whole new genre. It was amazing.
Wow, that's good. You've got about 40 years to go to catch up with the rest of us.
Tight Blue Jeans, I believe the song was called.
Oh, I shall look it up.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I was listening. I don't know that song by Billy Currington, Paul. I do know I Got a Feeling, which was my favourite. But yeah, I used to do a country music show, way back in the day.
I remember. I do. I remember. It was great.
It's funny because some people thought that I did the country music show as a side thing because it was just like, I've been told to do it. And I actually like country music. I got into it quite late in life. It's actually a late friend of mine that got me into it. He introduced me to the world of country music and I never looked back.
Oh, it was beautiful. I used to make note of the times and make sure my radio was off. Anyway, it was great fun, Stephen Scott. Well done, you.
So we're rolling out jazz music for you, country music. What do you... Oh, I know what you listen to. Heavy metal-y.
Oh, I've just got tickets
metally,
to
don't you?
Def Leppard in 2026. Rock on. I am so excited. Def Leppard and Extreme. More than words.
That's the only song I know from them. I know one more. I can say this on the radio, I believe. Get the Funk Out.
Oh,
remember that one?
Well done. I do.
That was a good song.
If you don't like... Well, yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Because believe it or not, actually, this is a true story. Way, way, way back in the day, before the country music show, I did produce a rock music show. I didn't host it, but I did. And the woman who hosted the show was in her 60s. She was late 60s. And she was a huge rock fan. And she knew everything there was to know about rock music. And she would come into the studio every week. And she was so unassuming You would honestly believe a little old woman, here she is, she's doing her thing.
Mrs.
Suddenly,
Doubtfire.
she's rocking out with all these songs. I didn't know any of them. It was brilliant. Things I learned about Three Dog Night, and I learned about, oh goodness, who I don't know here, all these bands that I'd never heard of.
Slayer.
Yep.
Anthrax. Beautiful stuff, Stephen Scott. Let's sign out with a bit of rock. No? What does Mr. F say? No? Okay, sorry.
I'm saying no. Never mind. Never mind anyone else. Listen, tomorrow on the show, we are joined by the one, the only, Shelley Brisbane, of course, the wonderful Shelley Brisbane joining us to talk all about Apple's big news as it comes to us today. We'll be
Enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll be recording our thoughts. Michael Babcock also joining us as well. Can't wait to get into all the big Apple news, and we'll catch you tomorrow. And don't forget, of course, if you want even more, you can subscribe to the Double Tap Extra podcast, where you get even more.
Extra. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, I think we're done. Right, bye, Sean.
See ya.